Hey guys, welcome back to another The Unofficial A&R video, and today I want to talk about why I think that Dababy's popularity has declined. Obviously, some people love Dababy and others really don't like him. To be honest, it's kind of strange that the tides have turned for Dababy. It seems as though his career has taken a huge nosedive considering how promising he used to be. When he released mixtapes like Blank Blank in 2018 and followed up with his album Baby on Baby in 2019, it seemed as though he had the world in the palm of his hands. Dababy proved to be lyrically impressive with definitive beats and a signature sense of clarity to his tone of voice, which I believe was quite different, considering the fact that around that time the more popular rappers seemed to be quite mumble rap-esque. For example, the 6ix9ines, the Uzis, the Yardis of the world. Dababy's album Kirk proved to be just as, if not more impressive than its predecessors, as not only did it top the charts, but it was considerably favored and, in my opinion, is Dababy's best project to date. Dababy also seemed to have, at the time, a very healthy working relationship with then up-and-coming star Megan Thee Stallion. Their frequent collabs came like Beyonce and Jay-Z, or J-Lo and Ja Rule, or even Ariana and The Weeknd, which in turn made Dababy very popular with the ladies too. When it came to Dababy, men of all ages liked his music, women thought he was attractive, people even believed that Dababy was going to bring real rap back, which is something that old heads seem rather desperate to revive, which is strange because it still exists. People just don't want to put in the effort to look for it. But I digress. In my opinion, I think all of that seemed to go downhill due to a lot of Dababy's antics in his personal life coming to light, and people just getting tired of every new release of his sounding bone-achingly similar to the last. I've just scribbled a few things down which I believe could be contributing to Dababy's waning popularity, so without further ado, let's get into it. Reason numero uno, which contributed to Dababy's downfall in popularity, and to be honest, I think this may have started it all, is Dababy's public treatment of women. Now, I know people watching this might be thinking, how does this impact anything? What does his relationship with women have to do with anything? But hear me out. Now, if anyone knows anything about rappers' baby mothers, is that women love a rapper's baby mother, especially if she's pretty and appears to be securing the bag. Look at Ari and Jada Waiter, they're coming like America's version of the wags in England. Unfortunately, Dababy getting another woman pregnant despite publicly claiming Mimi his first baby mother after she publicly stated that he and her would always be together no matter what, hit a bit of a bum note for Dababy's female fans. This was heightened when Dababy got involved with DaniLeigh, who allegedly was messing around with Dababy when he was supposedly with Mimi. It also really didn't help that DaniLeigh previewed a song that had colorist incentives that was speculated to have been shade towards Dababy's dark-skinned baby mother. Oh, and let's not forget him co-signing it on top of that. Yeah, that's always great. Oh, and let's also not forget that he also got DaniLeigh pregnant, had her and her newborn baby staying at his place, and when they got into a very heated argument on IG Live, Dababy proceeded to disrespect the living hell out of DaniLeigh, called her a side chick, repeatedly denounced her position in his life, didn't really show much respect towards his newborn daughter. I think DaniLeigh said that he walked out on her when he found out that she was pregnant. All of this kind of ruined the fantasy that a lot of women, specifically black women in particular, had when it came to how they viewed Dababy. All of a sudden, he went from this very smart, handsome, wealthy black man to a cornball who doesn't seem to have a great relationship with women and is continuously setting a bad example for his 3 daughters. Yes, 3 daughters. No sons. But Dababy's disrespect didn't seem to stop with his baby mothers, as women didn't quite like how he slapped a female fan at one of his concerts for having her phone light in his face, nor did they like the way that he handled the Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez situation last year either. Long story short, Dababy liked to tweet talking about how Tory and Dababy are friends because they both shot someone and bust case, obviously in reference to the 2018 Walmart shooting that Dababy was tied to, and the 2020 shooting of Megan Thee Stallion, which Tory is currently on trial for. Megan and Dababy went back and forth about this on Twitter, and Dababy decided later on to bring Tory out at his set at Rolling Loud after Megan literally just performed. Oh, and let's not forget when he tried to force his female fans to kiss him. That was a bright moment. These incidents did not sit well with women at all. If they didn't think Dababy was a crappy person then they definitely thought he was now. These incidents with women have completely tarnished any sort of initial fantasy that women had about DaBaby being some sort of man of their dreams, as it shows that he really has no boundaries when it comes to how he treats women, which in turn makes him less favorable to female listeners. Reason number 2. The obnoxious amount of snippets he's put out, many of which end up sounding the exact same. Same bouncy beats, same spaced out lyrics, same flow, nothing new to talk about. It feels as though DaBaby has fallen into the trap of believing that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And whilst this formula might work for some, and did work for him for a period of time up until recently, it is clearly a formula which seems to be waning for him. Now I know what some people might think. Oh, well, DaBaby has 35 million monthly listeners on Spotify, so how is this formula waning for him? DaBaby has been everywhere this past year. He's been touring. He's been at Rolling Loud, which I will get into in a minute. He dropped an album with Youngboy this year. He dropped an EP last year. DaBaby's monthly listeners before the summer of last year was almost double what it is now. DaBaby used to be a top 10 artist on Spotify, and now he's just outside the top 50, which is still good, but all I'm saying is if I dropped from an A+ to a low C and I had been working consistently, I would be slightly disappointed and would be questioning where it is that I went wrong or whether or not I've been wasting my time. I feel as though DaBaby has been trying to change it up recently. I actually really like his song Wig with Moneybagg Yo, but it almost feels as though besides DaBaby's fan base, everybody else has just accepted that his music just sounds the same, so they don't really care to listen to any of his new music, even if it may be different. It's almost as if there's no reviving him. People don't care even half as much as they used to. Although I do see him touring a lot, so I guess there's some people who still enjoy seeing him live and stuff, but his musical popularity is definitely not the same as it was. Unfortunately for DaBaby, it feels as though he's peaked very early. Reason number 3, his aggression in his personal life is gaining way more traction than his music. If anyone knows, DaBaby is pretty much undefeated when it comes to a gunfight, or even just a regular fight. There have been countless incidents where DaBaby has pulled a Mike Tyson, whether it's fighting his own artist backstage or his baby mother's brother. At this point, whenever I see DaBaby trending, it's always about a fight and not about music. Listen, if I were on DaBaby's team, I would honestly try to encourage him to get into some sort of boxing or maybe some sort of reality TV show, because I think DaBaby would do really well in those settings. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would pay to see DaBaby knock somebody out. I mean, they're already seeing him do it for free, they might as well pay. I truly believe that in this life, you should profit off of your strengths. And I think that's the problem. DaBaby isn't making any money in the areas that he is being extremely controversial in. His constant run-ins with people completely overshadow his music, and it's starting to become a slight character arc for him. Maybe DaBaby should just go by his birth name and make DaBaby a character like The Rock or something. I feel like people would mess with that a lot because maybe he'd be able to separate himself from his character. To be honest, I think it's a little bit late for that, but hey, I tried, you know? And finally, my last reason is DaBaby's inability to keep his mouth shut. DaBaby spouted some very questionable comments about HIV, as well as some very strong inferences about gay people. Obviously, that went down like a lead balloon. The thing that went through my mind when I heard DaBaby say these comments was, what does that have to do with anything? Why are you performing your music and the first thing to pop up in your head is to diss gay people and diss people with HIV? I think DaBaby tried to say that it's all a part of hyping the crowd up, but I honestly don't know if I would have gone with that verse if I were him. I really don't think I would have. Do you not understand that people who have HIV and gay people could potentially make up a part of your audience? Why alienate them and make them feel uncomfortable? HIV is not synonymous with gay people, and I think for him to say that publicly was very tacky and unintelligent. Not only did he alienate these groups, but he doubled down on the comments as soon as he started receiving backlash. And then much later, he put out an apology which was definitely written by his publicist. The sequence of events here is pretty poor, as from a human being perspective, saying those types of things, doubling down on them, and then putting out a very late and pathetic apology is pretty tone deaf. And from a business perspective, it's definitely not a smart move. In my opinion, this incident in particular contributed to the fall in Dababy's monthly listeners and just general overall respect. Because even before the incident, people liked Dababy. They still liked him despite thinking that his music was repetitive, but the general public perspective of him being rather corny and somebody who's gotten completely ahead of himself has become even stronger now. All in all, I think Dababy's setbacks have been completely self-induced. A lot of the things that he does makes people question why, because nobody asked him for any of this. My personal opinion of Dababy is that he seems incapable of change and kind of obnoxious, which is a shame because I think that if that's how he's gonna be, he might as well profit off of it. Maybe he should go and have a reality TV show like Flavor Flav and date multiple women, or maybe he should go into boxing and see if he can remain undefeated. People have more interest in what's going on in Dababy's personal life rather than his bread and butter. Whilst I do think that Dababy has probably damaged his reputation beyond repair, I don't think all is lost. I feel like Dababy should turn his rap name into a character, as I feel like that's something which would always receive attention if push comes to shove. And he should probably never put out a public apology, ever. Just because with the reputation that he's built, it's so polarizing that nobody's ever going to believe his apology. But as for Mr. Dababy, we're just gonna have to wait and see how this all pans out for him. That's my quick little video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.